Okay. So an announcement. So thank you guys for rank ordering your preferences for the topics. So if you go to the website, you'll see that I have added your names now to the person column. So everyone, except for 2 days, everyone is going to take a topic or be responsible for a topic. There's 2 days where we're going to have pairs. So for Bayesian data analysis, we've got the Bayesian bros, which is Alex and Ham. So if if you guys want to work together and create a presentation or a lecture, that'd be greatly appreciated. And then we also have Renata and Brooke for path modeling and structural equation modeling. So again, just work with Brooke and create a lecture for structural equation modeling, path modeling. So hopefully this works for everyone. And if you guys want to switch with someone, you can feel free to do that, but just let me know that you're switching. So hopefully there's no questions related to that. Before I get started, are there any questions about the syllabus? Questions about the class from last time? Nothing? Good.
So like the election, is this like a full class?
No.
Okay.
It's only 15, 20 minutes.
Okay.
So like just introduction, maybe an example of a paper that you're interested in and how it applies it, and then I'll go into kind of more in-depth, more details. So again, it's not meant to be like high stress, right? You're just coming in and talking. So yeah, 15, 20 minutes max, not anything longer than that. All right, so what I want to do for the first half of class is I want to walk through how you can create a Quarto blog and host it onto GitHub. So the final project in this class is to create a blog, a Quarto blog, and host it on a web page. So I want to walk through how you can do that. I walk through the steps. This is going to be recorded, so you can refer back to it. But what I would suggest is that you follow along with me as I build a Quarto web page. Just so you know how to do it. It's pretty straightforward, I think, but again, I wanted to dedicate some class time showing you how to do this instead of at the end of the semester, you're trying to create a blog and not really knowing what to do. So I wanted to walk us through that. And then after that, I want to discuss multi-level modeling, my favorite topic. So we got a lot of stuff to cover today. So hopefully we'll have enough time to cover everything. So first things first, so on the website, I have slides. I have two little icons here. One is for creating the Quarto or Markdown blog. I'm not going to be using this, but this could be used for your reference. I'm just pretty much just going to do this live and walk you through how to create one. But this is a reference for you. So what we're going to need to create this Quarto blog is we're going to need a GitHub account. So does everyone have a GitHub account? Awesome. I should have it for PSY504. And we're going to use GitHub Desktop. So I know a lot of people prefer to use GitHub Desktop. I like to use RStudio and push and pull to GitHub, but a lot of folks are really, really gravitating towards GitHub Desktop, and it's pretty simple to use. I think, are most people in here using GitHub Desktop? Or do they push and pull from RStudio? It doesn't really matter, but I'm going to show both ways. And then you need R and RStudio, which hopefully everyone should have. So let's go ahead and first open up RStudio. So let's go ahead and open up a new RStudio instantiation. Let's see here. So my recommendation is just to follow along with me, but you guys can do whatever you'd like. Let's see. Yep. Why is this? Sorry for being so slow. Ignore my messy RStudio session with lots of files open. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new project. So just go to File, New Project. I'm going to save that. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new directory. And if you've successfully installed Quarto on your computer, you should also see these Quarto options here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to click on Quarto blog, and then we're going to call it something. So I'm going to call it JG Awesome Blog. Obviously, call it whatever you'd like. And then we're going to house this in our documents. And what we want to do is we want to create a Git repository. So we're going to take this and we're going to push it to GitHub. That's why we want to create a Git repository. So just click on that, and then we can go ahead and create our project. So if you were successful, what you should see in your file panel is you should see a whole host of template documents. And these are what we're going to use to modify to create our blog. But I just wanted to show you just like what you get out of the box from just the Quarto templates. So we can actually go to build in the environment panel here, and then just render the website. Let's just save it. So this is what the website looks like out of the box, right? So we have the name of our website here, so the JG Awesome blog. This is the name of the actual blog posts. And then we also have a nav bar in the upper right-hand corner with a whole bunch of options here. So this is GitHub, this is Twitter. So if you click on these, you'll go to the GitHub website and the Twitter website. And then we have our blog posts here. So there's just two generic blog posts up here. And if we click on that, that'll take us to our blog post. So what I want to do is I want to walk through the template documents that are in your directory or your project directory, and show you how we can modify them, talk a little bit about them, and then show you what you can do to make it your own blog website. Let's go. I'm just gonna do this. Awesome. So let's go ahead and look at the first file, which is the _quarto.yaml file. This is kind of like a metadata file for the actual project itself. So it's type equals website. And there's a whole bunch of options that you can choose from, but we're creating a website here. And then there's also some information about the website itself. So the title of the website is JG Awesome Blog. We created this for the actual directory or to put in documents, but we can actually make it a little bit more readable. So we can say something like Jason Geller's Awesome Blog website. So we can change that. And then we also have nav bar options, right? So this is saying to put the nav bar in the right-hand corner. And there's a whole bunch of options here, right? So this is our About Quarto document. And then we also have an icon, so it shows the GitHub icon and the link to GitHub, and then also the Twitter icon with the link to Twitter. We can make changes to that. We could also add things here, right? So what's really great about this is that you can actually extend this, and you can turn this into a personal website if you want to, right? So you might have a CV. So I don't know if there's an icon for CV, but there might be. So you can say icon CV, and then you can actually, have a reference to Google Drive, wherever you hold your CV. It will take the reader to that particular website to view your CV. You can also create a CV that's a Quarto document, and then you can have that. So when they click on that, they'll be able to see all of your publications and kind of where you are. But we're not going to do that right now. We also have a format option here, and you can kind of have a whole bunch of different themes, or you can use a whole bunch of different themes for your website. Right now, the default is Cosmo, but there's a whole list of different themes that you can use. So let's look at some of the themes that you can use for this. So this is what the Cosmo looks like. You can do things like, I don't know, Cyborg, which is kind of cool if you like the dark themes. Sketchy looks kind of cool too. So let's just pick one. Let's change it. So we're not going to use Cosmo. Let's just use Cyborg. And then there's a CSS option here. So right now the CSS file that's here is blank, but if you wanted to change the font, if you wanted to change the text, you wanted to do any kind of stylistic type things to your website, you can put code in there and do that. It's blank here. You don't have to make those changes, but if you wanted to, you could do that. And then this is the file that you would read in. So we made these changes. Let's go ahead and re-render the actual website again. Let's see what it looks like now. All right, so now we see that we've applied a different theme to it and we've changed the website name. So now it's Jason Geller's Awesome Blog website. We didn't do anything with the actual blog title. And then we didn't really do anything to the nav bar options up here, right? But again, we've changed the theme for it. And that's about it, and the name. So in the nav bar, we have this about.qmd file. This is where you'd put information about the blog itself, or you can just put in information about yourself. So it could be about the author. And we have some meta data at top here, right? So we have the title. So we could do about me instead of about. There's an image here. So we're using this profile.jpg. And then that looks like this. This is contained within the actual folder itself. So it looks like this. And then we can have different templates. I forgot which, let's see here. Let's see, it has options here, right? So these are different template options that you have, and these are kind of what they look like. So you can change the layout of different things, which is kind of cool. So let's just change this to Solana. And then we also have links here. If we actually look at the website itself and click on about, we'll see kind of what it looks like, where we have the picture, about, and then some information about the blog or yourself. And then we also have links to Twitter, LinkedIn, and GitHub down here. And that's all contained in this metadata here, right? So let's go ahead and just add in information. So I'm just gonna pull some stuff from my website. Just copy this. I'm just gonna put that in there. Let's do, right, and so you can use Quarto or Markdown syntax here, right? So you can designate certain headers, right, by using the double hashtag or a single hashtag. So anything that you can do in a Quarto document, you can do here. So let's save this, and then let's just re-render the website again. So now we have some information about me here. We still have the Twitter, LinkedIn, GitHub links. I don't think that you need those there, right? So especially if you had those on the nav bar, but you might choose to just get rid of those on the nav bar and just have them here in the about me. But that's how you would do that. We also have this index QMD file. And this gives some information about the actual blog section on the website, right? So the title is JG Awesome Blog. We can make this, or we can at least change this to make it similar to the title of the actual web page, but we don't need to. So we do Jason Geller's blog. The contents are posts. We're going to sort the posts by descending date. So that's how they'll appear on the web page. Type is default, but we can do other things, right? So we can actually, so this is what default looks like, right? Where it's listed like this. We could also do like a grid, which I prefer. So we'll see how that is, or how that looks. Categories, this says to list the categories. So we can see that here on the side where it has all the categories that you specify. And then there's like sort UI and filter UI. I have no idea what those do. And then there's also, you can mess around with the page layout. And then also if you want that little banner, the block banner, like it is right here. So we can set that to false and that will remove it. So let's just go ahead and save that and let's re-render the website. So we remove that block banner around here, right, on our title or blog post title. And then we see that there's a different layout. This is the grid layout, which I prefer for each of our blog posts here. So this index.qmd file that lives in the directory at the top of the directory manipulates the actual blog post content. So let's go ahead and look at the actual posts. So all posts are going to be live in a dedicated folder. So if we click on the post folder here, what we'll see is we'll see a metadata YAML, and then we'll also see post with code and welcome. These two folders refer to our actual blog posts, and that's where the content for your blog post will live. If we look at the metadata.yaml folder, there's two options here. There's freeze equals true. This ensures that you're not re-rendering your blog posts if you don't make any changes to it. So it makes, rendering pretty quick. So if you have a blog post that is computationally intensive with lots of data and code and stuff, if you don't make any changes to it, then it's not going to re-render it, which is good. And then you can also mess around with the block banner if you want, or you can I think you could just keep these kind of default. So we have two blog posts that are on the site right now. So let's go ahead and look at that, right? So we have post with code and then welcome to my blog. Let's go look at post with code. There's two files that live in here, right? There's an image file and then an index file. So we see at the top, we have the title of our blog post, the author, the date, some categories, and then also the image. So that's kind of a little thumbnail that will be shown. And then the actual post itself, which is just a simple executable code chunk, right? So it's just doing 1 + 1. So fairly simple. And then we have the welcome post, which has two files, an index.qmd file. This is where the post is going to live. And then we also have a thumbnail JPEG. That's just a desk. Again, title, author, date, categories. And then we also have the picture that's in the actual document itself. So what I'd like to do now is I just want to show you how you can just add an additional blog post to the folder and render that. So let's just go ahead and create a new folder here. And then we'll call this new blog. Yeah, so we'll click on that. And what we'll do is we'll add a new Quarto doc file. So we're going to have to call this index. And then we have a blank Quarto document. And what we're going to do is we're just going to steal the code from this blog post and place it in the new blog post, right? So let's just call this new blog. Change the author name. And then it always has the date on there. And let's just change categories to R. Let's just do introduction, methods, results. We do something like this. We could also add an image to the thumbnail. So let's just go ahead and find an image for our blog post. Let's do Quarto. Let's just take this one. What did I call this? I called it that. That's not it. Did I not save it in? save this. GitHub Labs. There you go. Save it there. And you can put that in there. So let's just do Quarto dark DG JPEG. Save that. And then let's just re-render the website. Just save. So we can see here that now we have a new little tile here with our new blog. And we also have an image associated with it, our Quarto image. So if we click on it, again, we see that we have our introduction, methods, and results. So again, basically what you're doing here is you're just putting in a Quarto document, right? So hopefully we all know how to do that, and then just render it. And that's essentially it. So now that we've created our blog post, how do we host it on GitHub and create a website for it? So now that's what I want to shift focus to and kind of go over how we can do that. So I'm going to show you how to do this with GitHub Desktop, which I think is the easiest route. And then I'll also show you how you can do this with RStudio or within RStudio. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up GitHub Desktop. I'm going to go to add local repository, and then I'm going to track down where the repository is stored. Just create that, and then all we could do is just add repository. So add new blog, and this is essentially going to host your repository on GitHub this way. So it's super easy. We can say publish repository. You can have the option to keep this code private or not. Doesn't matter. All right, so we published the repository. Let's actually view it on GitHub. So we'll see that if you go to GitHub and look at your account, you'll see that there's a new repository. So we have the JG Awesome blog with all of our files here. So how do we actually create a web page just using this? So what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to create what's called a pages website. And that's pretty simple to do, but there's one thing that I forgot that we need to do. So we need to go back to RStudio and we need to open up our _quarto.yaml file. So what we're going to need to do is we're actually going to need to add this little bit of code called output-direct, and we're going to put docs. So in order for us to link our Quarto repository to like an actual web page, we need to create a separate folder that it can draw from. So if we actually add this argument and save it and then re-render the website, it's going to create an additional folder called docs that we're then going to link to the web page. So let's slave selected. So if we go back to our we'll see that it's created a docs folder now. So now we can link that to our GitHub pages. So let's go ahead and go back to GitHub Desktop and let's add docs folder. And then we could just push. And then we can see that our comment was saved. So we added docs. So let's go ahead and create our web page now. So we have to deploy from a branch, and we're going to deploy from our docs, and we're just going to save that. And this should create a dedicated web link. It's going to take a little while to do that. So while we're doing that, I actually wanted to just take a couple minutes and show you how you can do all of this from RStudio instead of going through GitHub Desktop. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our actual homepage for the repository and click on code. And then what we're going to do is we're going to copy the link under SSH. And then we're going to go back to our RStudio session and create a new project. And then what we're going to do is version control, git, and then we're going to copy and paste the SSH web address, and then we're going to call it something else. And I'm going to put this in desktop. Call it a blog. So if you successfully have done that, you should see all of the same files from your repository. And now what you can do is you can actually just make changes directly in RStudio. So I may want to make changes to the Quarto YAML file. Maybe just take out awesome. I don't want it to be too flashy. So we can save those changes. And what you'll notice is that there is a new tab called Git. And you can click on that and you'll see that we made changes to this Quarto YAML file, and we can actually commit and push it to our GitHub repository via RStudio. So we can select that and then commit and then say, here's the website. And then push. And then when we go back to our actual website, or actually the GitHub repository, we should see that there's a new comment there called I changed the website. So we did this all through RStudio. So let's see if our website is ready. It is. So we can see here that we now have an actual web address for our blog post. So we can click on that. And this is what people will see when they navigate to that. We see we have our new blog post here. So this is what I want you to send me for the final project is a web link, right, that I can navigate to, and I can see your blog lives online. Yeah. Which branching from RStudio?
Before you started doing in RStudio, when you were like, the thing you were waiting for it to do.
Yes. So to create the actual web pages, what you're going to do is you want to click on pages. And then there's a source. Just do deploy from a branch. And then what you're going to want to do is you want to change the branch to docs. So master and then docs. And then that will. Good?
Yep, got it. Awesome. Mine's called main, does that matter?
There should be a docs.
I have docs, but like instead of master, I have main.
That should be fine. Hopefully there will be a web link that generates after you do that. But so that's pretty much it in a nutshell. If you guys have any questions about this, you can obviously send me emails or we could chat about it after class. But I think it's pretty straightforward. I hope it's straightforward. I think it's pretty easy, and you can kind of scale this up, or you can actually create your own personal website if you wanted to. And there, I have links in the slides to creating websites and stuff like that, and also presentations and stuff like that, if you're interested in stuff like that. All right, so that's what I wanted to cover in terms of creating a blog post. Again, you can reference this, I'm recording this, and then just ask me questions if you have them. Are there any questions that people have right now? Other than Abby's excellent question? Mm-hmm. Are you talking about like the web bar that like where you could actually like click on it and run it? No, as long as it just outputs onto the web page, that should be fine. So like code chunk and then like what it produces should be fine. Does that make sense? And some of you already have websites. And if you're able to just host Quarto documents on your website, then that should be fine too if you want to go that route. So you don't have to go about creating a new website if you don't want to. And also, if there's issues with like privacy with the data that you're using, you can just create a synthetic data set. So I've had students do that in the past, but these are not going to be shared unless you want them to be shared. I would love to take all of the blog posts and condense them into some type of book that I can have and share with future students. So that's kind of the plan or the goal, but let me